Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Matt St. Jack. Whether you're an avid anime fan, a wee tadpole still finding your way, or anywhere in between, I'll be providing my opinions and insights on anime old and new. Think Yelp with help from friends and producers from other shows weighing in. I know you can't wait to hear, and I can't wait to tell, so let's get to it. This is Matt St. Jack with Anime Talk. Let's go.
I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon.
I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And I'm Robert Stewart.
And this is Collateral Cinema
With
SWO Productions. Welcome to the season premiere of Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, where we focus on good movies, bad movies, and everything else in between in the world of cinema. We're podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420-friendly podcast. So whatever you have, be it dabs, blunts, bongs, or joints, smoke it if you've got it. And yes, this is our Season 7 premiere. We are so excited to finally be back into the fold, right, guys?
Yep.
Oh, man, this is going to be so much fun.
Happy October, right?
Yeah, happy October. Happy spooky season. We're getting into the Halloween season, so we usually start our podcast off with a bunch of horror episodes.
Yeah, and if this releases when we're planning to release it, happy Friday the 13th.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. I mean, since we are doing Freddy versus Jason, we are going to release on Friday the 13th. So, yeah, we're recording this like several days in advance. So.
Yeah.
But we are joined by Stu from. We are joined by Stu from SWO Productions. How are you doing, Stu?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me back. How are you guys today?
Oh, we are great. Honestly, I'm feeling really good.
Hell yeah. I'm it feels good to be here. I was mentioning this to Stu right before the podcast, but I'm actually visiting down from Houston. Have we recorded an episode yet, like in person, since I've lived in Houston?
I don't think so.
I think this is the first time we've actually been under one roof since then, right?
Actually. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's good to be chilling with the bros for our season premiere. I mean, Season 7, right? Or Season 8.
Season 7.
Season 7. As per usual, we've got our pregame on. We're intoxicated and
as usual,
and
Inebriated a little
high.
bit.
Yeah, we're a little tipsy. I don't know about Stu, but we are.
I was drinking earlier this morning or this afternoon. Sorry.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm drunk. I'm more like I've only had like one. I haven't even had one beer, but definitely high. And that's the vibe that we want, because this is the Season 7 premiere. I am really excited about some of the shit that we've got coming out later this season. Yeah. It's going to be a good time. And starting off with Freddy versus Jason, I mean, what a classic, right?
Oh, this is like one of my all-time favorite horror movies, like ever, honestly, because it's just got a vibe to it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There is absolutely a vibe to this movie, and I'm gonna let you guys know, actually. So this was my first time watching this. Now, I remember I had peers that watched this movie, and I remember it was the shit when it came out in 2003, mm-hmm. right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, I remember that this was becoming like the big, debate amongst the horror fans and everything, was who would win in a fight, Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees.
I like that they took in at least all of the continuity of all the Nightmare sequels, right?
Oh, definitely.
So and that applies to Friday the 13th, I'm assuming, as well, including Jason X.
Definitely. Definitely Jason X.
Pretty much after Jason X.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, if I recall, Sean Cunningham went ahead and made Jason X because of the development hell that this movie was in for quite a bit. I mean, And that's something that's actually kind of a little more, it's a little more of an interesting story than, the actual movie itself, I mean, this was in development hell for a good 10 years, and there were quite a few different scripts that were written for this movie that had all kinds of really wacky ideas,
Just being shuffled back and forth from Paramount to New Line, really.
Yeah, I believe that there was a script that was going to have like kind of a Cult of Thorn thing, but for Freddy, they were going to call him Fred Heads or something like that.
Oh God.
Oh, I know, right? It's like, what the hell? Yeah, I mean, this movie had some really crazy scripts. I think that there was a scene that they wrote in one of the drafts where they end up in hell and there's like a boxing ring in there, and they find the boxing ring, and the crowd has all these famous horrible people in the crowd. Like, I think Hitler was going to be there, and Ted Bundy and Charles Manson, and they were gonna have all these serial killers and bad people in the crowd, and I'm just I mean, while that would have been hilarious to see at the time, oh my God, talk about not aging well, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, one of those things that's definitely a better idea on paper than it would have been if they had actually filmed it and released it to the public.
Yeah, and I think that there was a draft where they tried to kind of do a new Nightmare thing where both Jason and Freddy were still fictional characters in their universe. But
oh yeah, so would it have worked maybe fear of Freddy actually brought him into reality or something like that?
Something like that. I mean, if I recall, that's kind of how New Nightmare worked, right, Robert?
Oh yeah, it really did. It was coming right out of the movies. Almost like Last Action Hero.
Yeah, it was kind of like Last Action Hero, but for horror.
Yeah, Page Master or something.
But let's go ahead and first, let's go ahead and get into some of the characters in this movie, because I think, first of all, let's talk about Freddy and Jason themselves. I mean, they really managed to actually kind of stay true to the... They really kind of managed to stay true to the original iterations of these characters.
Yeah, it's just a shame they didn't accept having Kane Hodder come back to be Jason. They didn't want Kane in this iteration. They wanted somebody who would really dwarf Robert Englund, so they brought in Ken Kersinger, and I don't know, it felt like it would have been more apropos to have Kane come back for a fifth movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of feel that this is one of the great missteps of this movie, because it would have been a treat to see Kane Hodder and Robert Englund on the same screen together.
I know, because Robert Englund is every bit as iconic as he was in, the other Nightmare films. Although I guess I will have to admit, I don't think I've seen every Nightmare on Elm Street film. I've seen several of the sequels that you guys have shown me. I've seen the original multiple times over, obviously. But I mean, yeah, Robert Englund definitely felt, as true to the character as he's ever been. But with Jason, I don't know, yeah, something did feel a little bit off.
Yeah, it kind of felt like how Kane Hodder, he kind of really defined Jason as a character mainly in, his interactions with the world around him and with the people that he's killing. He had a real methodical vibe to him that honestly no other Jason has really had, and that would have really worked in this movie, especially with the whole angle about Freddy trying to use Jason to spread the fear to get the kids to remember him again.
Yeah, he was more of an actor than just some guy putting on a mask. Really.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I thought it was interesting, even missing the context of some of the Nightmare sequels, that the entire town had somehow turned this entire thing quiet, and nobody knew about the existence of Freddy Krueger. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it kind of leads to maybe some plot holes here and there, because it's I mean, surely these people are dead. It's you're not going to erase the fact that all these kids are dead and everything. I mean, they went back and they redacted everything in their library, regarding their local town newspaper, but but it's like that had to have spread like further than what's the town's name in Nightmare on Elm Street? It's Springwood or something like that.
Springwood.
Yeah,
Illinois.
it's like, yeah, I mean that had to have spread, elsewhere. That there had to have been some other news outside of Springwood that would have reported on these murders.
Yeah, I remember like in part 6, he was like, every town has an Elm Street.
Yes.
And it was pretty much him. You could invade the country, dude, if every town has an Elm Street, right?
Yeah, especially. But man, honestly, Robert Englund in this movie is an absolute treat, though. I mean, he is he has like some of the best one-liners of the entire series, right?
Oh, hell, dude, they're hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Across the Nightmare series, because I've recently rewatched the entire Nightmare on Elm Street series, it's really hard for them to find a balance with him where I think they have a hard time deciding how serious and scary he's going to be versus how silly and basically a cartoon character he's going to be. And I think in this movie, they strike a pretty good balance with him where he's quippy and he's kind of funny, but he's not too... with the exception of one scene anyway, he's not too absurd. He's not basically a living cartoon character just being too zany and silly. For the most part, he is just a threatening monster who isn't afraid to, laugh at your death while he's killing you.
And yet, he only really kills one person in this entire movie, though. Like, Freddy himself only kills one. And that's, I believe it's the boyfriend's friend, Mark, right?
Him and then the cop.
Or Will,
right?
or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it was him and the cop. Those are the only... No, not even the cop. The cop was killed by Jason. He was electrocuted.
Oh,
right?
Freddy was killed by...
No, I'm talking about, like... he only killed, like, one person in this entire movie.
Oh, and that girl when they were having that party in the cornfield.
No, but he didn't even get to kill her, though.
Yeah, no, Jason
remember?
killed
He stabbed
her,
with a
yeah.
machete. Stabbed
Yeah.
her with a machete. He stole the kill from her.
Yeah, you remember how mad he was about that. He was like,
Dude.
"No, it's mine."
I'd be pissed too. It was like stealing a Halo kill. I'd be like, "Fuck that."
Exactly. Then just come in and teabag and everything.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, fuck that."
Yeah, but I mean, Jason gets the majority of the kills in this movie, which, I mean, when you're going by what the script says, and the whole story angle and everything, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Jason's going to get most of the kills here because he's got to, build up Freddy's power and everything.
Oh, he did kill that guy Mark in the bathroom. Remember?
Yeah, that's the only one that he killed.
Yeah,
That's the only kill he had.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't even really realized that, but you're right. Like, thinking back on it.
Depending on if you consider Freddy or Jason to be the one that kills the fake Jason Mewes guy, because Freddy, like, takes him over. So does that count as killing him? Because then Jason's the one that cuts him in half.
I think that's really splitting hairs there, maybe.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, although I will say, we're going to talk about some of the better scenes in this movie here in a little bit, and that'll be one of them. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess that you could kind of count that as a Jason kill. But, I mean, the whole point of that was tranking him.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's kind of a fine line there, maybe.
honestly, yeah, his powers were like weak. He couldn't complete a kill, right?
Oh, yeah, that one kid he tried to kill, he was just like, "Oh, I'm all right. I'm not hurt."
I'm not hurt. And then the girl with her nose. Got your nose.
Got your nose. Which that's kind of
That's the one that sent me, the got your nose scene. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to describe this scene to my mom and my 4-year-old daughter's, in range. So I'm like trying to describe the scene without getting into the details of it. But just like the absolute like absurdity of the scene when you're talking about it out loud.
But doesn't it also kind of introduce a little bit of a little plot hole there? Maybe not so much a plot hole, but maybe just a little nitpick. Is that, I mean, she's the one who's dreaming. She gets wounded by him. Why isn't she wounded in the real world?
Yeah, I kind of took
know?
that as he still didn't have the power to actually affect her. But yeah, it's a plot hole.
Probably.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. I was curious about that too. Yeah, because she comes back to the real world and she's fine. So yeah, I guess that's the most logical way to explain it. I mean, during the first act or so of the movie, he's still kind of gaining his power.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much one of those things where it's probably they probably did it just because it looked cool and it sounded cool at the time, but they just didn't really connect it and everything, But honestly, this movie actually has some pretty okay characters as far as the teens that are killed here. Like for one, we have a young Catherine Isabel playing what's her name, Gibb or something like that. I think that was her name. That's Catherine Isabel. I mean, she went on to play Mary in American Mary, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that, directed by the Soska sisters, that's an amazing movie. Go watch it.
I've seen some of her stuff.
Yeah. American Mary is fantastic. But yeah, she's a kind of a okay character here, though. I think.
Yeah, she's underutilized for being Catherine Isabel. You would expect her to be a little bit more in this than she is, but no, she's just in it for a couple of scenes and then she's out.
Pretty much, and she's just kind of the party girl of the group and everything, I mean, they don't really give her much to do, really. But, I mean, in the end, I mean, she still is a phenomenal actress, and, I mean, it's a damn shame they didn't utilize her any more than they did. Like, I mean, I think that they could have even let her live a little further into the climax, maybe.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'll tell you the truth. I would much rather have seen her than Kelly Rowland's character at the end. It's like, yeah, let's talk about Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child.
She was trying.
She was. Bless her heart. She was trying so badly here, but man, there's some line delivery that she gives here that sounds more like she's just mildly annoyed than like scared or angry. Like that one time near the end of the movie where she's trying to hit Jason with like a stick or something. It's like, God damn it, stop. It's like, she just sounds frustrated more than like scared or frightful or anything.
Yeah.
That wasn't going to do anything. If anything, it was just going to piss him off.
Oh, no, it totally pissed him off. But also, there's a scene where she drops a certain slur that has not aged well.
Yeah, I forgot about that. It made me a little unhappy because I love this movie. I love both of these franchises. So whenever I got to the point where she says that word, I was a little like, oh, come on. I thought by 2003 we were maybe a little bit better, but apparently not.
Mm-hmm. Then again, it was 2003, man.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the way things were back then, if you remember. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't age that well. But the scene itself is funny. I like the whole, like, she's kind of, like, trying to, like, reduce his, like, fear aspect, which I don't know if that works in the real world. But that's what it seemed like she was trying to do. Kind of like what they did at the end of It Chapter 2, right?
A little bit. Kind of.
That's kind of what I thought they were getting at, but then, like, Jason just kills her, so whatever.
Yeah. Can I say that whenever Jason hits somebody or throws somebody in this movie, he just yeets them.
Yeah,
like,
he is full-on super strength Jason in this one.
Yo, yeah, I mean, he is like pretty much a little bit of zombie Jason and a little bit of the old school Jason, but I still don't think that Ken Kurtzinger was really all that strong in the character still. So I don't know, but I mean, from what I understand, it was Ronny Yu, the director, that he was the one that wanted a more imposing Jason. So he's the one that we have to thank for that. Which, by the way, Ronny Yu, he directed Bride of Chucky.
Oh, okay.
He was responsible for that. So
this feels like Bride of Chucky, doesn't it?
And that's kind of why he got the directing job here. Precisely, was because, I mean, he already brought back a iconic horror character and made a pretty fun movie with it. So, yeah, I mean, you have Catherine Isabel, and then you have the final girl here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what was the actress's name? It's like, who was she? I forget her. I mean,
yeah,
but
I forgot her name. She's on an episode of Entourage. That's all I've seen her on.
Yeah. But, I mean, she starts off a little slow near the beginning of the movie, but
Monica Keena.
That's Monica Keena, yeah. But I think that near the end, she becomes a very serviceable final girl. I mean, she's really just kind of, she's finally just like, I've had enough. I want to see this motherfucker die. It's like, almost has shades of Nancy there a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they give her a bit of a story as the movie goes on where you find out about her mother and her father's role in her mother's death. And it's weird, for as many times as I've seen this movie, I always forget that plot exists because they don't pay enough attention to it. But when you're watching the movie, it does give her character a little bit more bones as the movie goes on, and you do start caring about her a little bit more. You know, like Will tells her dad killed her mom, her dad lies to her and says her mom was in a car accident, and then whenever she finds out what actually happened, she kind of, you know, for lack of not making a pun here, as an actress, she kind of wakes up and just starts putting on a better, more empowered performance.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And then we have Will, which is played by Jason Ritter, actually. That's
John Ritter's boy.
John Ritter's boy.
Speaking of Bride of Chucky.
Speaking of Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky's own John Ritter.
Exactly. And it's cool that they brought him back for this movie and everything. I think, though, there is some iffy acting from him here or there. Like, there's some times where it looks like he's smiling when he's trying to tell people some pretty bad news or something. Like when he's trying to tell his girlfriend, Monica Keena's character, about seeing her dad kill her mom. And everything. He's kind of like smiling a little bit through that. And it's just like, are you sure you didn't want to do another retake there?
That's all the drugs from Weston Hills.
Oh, probably. Yeah, it's all the Hypnosil.
It's all the Hypnosil, dude.
Yeah, it's just it's an after effect of the Hypnosil.
A little bit of Dream Warriors here.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I guess he's an all right character. But what I want to know is the whole thing between him and Monica's character. Like he just disappears out of nowhere, and she just, I mean, what? She doesn't question this. She just doesn't know what the fuck happened to him. I mean, she doesn't know that he's in Weston Hills.
Yeah, dude. Like almost 4 years went by and forgot about him.
That's 4 years. 4 fucking years, and it's like. So
she's been pining away for this guy that she knew in middle school then?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's a dude she knew in middle school. It's like they even bring it up. It's like, girl, you were 14. Yeah. Why are you even hung up on him? It's like you're 18 now. Grow up.
Yeah, but they do. I mean, I guess they lampshade that because I mean it is actually a part of the plot. I mean, at least opening up. You know, I thought for the amount of exposition that there was, it wasn't executed too badly. I mean, everything does kind of have a. Just the slightest, self-aware vibe to it in this movie.
Yeah, it's self-aware without being too meta or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that really works the best when you're considering the canonicity of both franchises. And, going back to like how like Jason, you guys were mentioning earlier, like, you see like various different aspects of his different forms. I mean, you got to realize, like everything again, including Jason X, happened here. So you can't really take this too seriously, and yet it manages to take it just seriously enough, that it's because that the confrontation between these two characters deserves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And what's up with Will's friend Mark? I mean, he's completely. Just kind of whacked out in his own right, but, not too whacked out, just whacked out enough to go and show his ass to
sell movie.
To sell movie. Yeah, he showed ass to sell movie for one.
Hey, that's America.
That's America right there. America's ass. But he's not afraid to show ass and act like a monkey to get the keys to break out of Weston Hills and everything.
Actually, that was a pretty cool. That was a pretty cool plan.
Yeah, that was pretty clever. Yeah, needless to say. But then again, whenever they're at the school and they meet up with Monica's character again, with all the main characters. He's the one who creeps everybody out by doing 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, and then tells everybody about Freddy Krueger. It's like, hey, nice job breaking it, asshole.
Exactly.
Although I do like whenever he puts together, like, oh, they put us away so that could be their way of burying Freddy. They put us away so that other people wouldn't be scared of Freddy, and then he realizes, he's like, oh shit, I fucked up. because I went into the school and terrorized everybody about Freddy. Like, so whenever he realizes that he broke what they were supposed to be doing, it's actually a pretty decent scene. You actually feel bad for the guy. Like, he's crazy and he's stupid, but he realizes, like, oh shit, that one's on me.
Exactly. It's just like, oh, god damn it.
The whole town had a plan,
Yeah, the town had a plan and everything, and he fucked it up.
Well, I mean, that's not to say that what they were doing was ethical.
Oh, absolutely not.
But, at that point, at least keeping the secret, would have been the best thing to do had he known. And I think, he knew that.
No, you're
definitely.
right. If he'd have known, he wouldn't have done
I
that.
wonder why the plan for Springwood isn't just to put Hypnosil in the water supply. They seem to be able to get enough of it. Why not just dump it in the reservoir?
You would think so. You would think so, right?
Yeah.
Just like Batman Begins.
Exactly. And then we got good old Lindemann. The simp.
The simp.
He is just simping hard after Lori. I think that's her name.
Yes,
Lori.
yes.
Yeah, he simps so hard after her and everything. And there's a couple of times where Kelly Rowland's character has to fucking put him in his place, but then he turns around and puts her in her place, and she likes it.
Yeah, I kind of was getting a vibe between them that I thought was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we did a few movies with him.
Yeah.
What was it? Fanboys too.
Yeah, he was in Fanboys. That's right.
Just Friends was hilarious.
That was really funny.
But see, guys, as Scott Pilgrim teaches us, the power of self-respect is the greatest power. So,
hell yeah.
You want to get laid, just have some self-respect. Women pick up on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that. But I mean, in the end, Lindemann actually he becomes a pretty important character near the end. He makes it to the climax. I mean, he actually puts up a fight against Jason. He's with America. He America'd him with an American flag.
My man.
That doesn't do much, but he gives it the old college try.
He does.
Yeah.
And of course he gets thrown onto a wall mount, and that does him in, But I mean, you gotta respect the man, It's like, I mean, he went from simp to straight up, from simp to hero, right?
He's literally me for real.
No, Alan is me, literally me. Alan is 100% me. That's right, Robert. You haven't watched Barbie.
No.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Was never tested.
You were never tested. This motherfucker.
Gosling, though, because Robert, you also acknowledge that Ryan Gosling is literally you.
In another universe, he is. Yeah.
I mean, you're the dry version with the Scorpio jacket, but I'm Ken, so.
And I'm just sitting here, Michael Cera, the only guy in Barbie Land that fucks.
I mean, canonically, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, we already talked about Barbie. Lindemann is cool, but also there's the cop who originally starts to realize that something is going on with the whole cover up and everything. I forgot what his name is. He was in a few movies.
Scary movie.
He was a scary movie. Yeah, that's right.
I'm in a lot of made-for-TV movies in the 90s.
Exactly. Yeah, he was in Scary Movie. He was Shannon Elizabeth's boyfriend, if I recall.
Is he the deputy?
Yeah, he's the deputy.
Deputy Scott something. Yeah.
Deputy Stubbs.
Yeah.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.
Welcome to my nightmare.
We're not safe awake or asleep.
Why won't you die? Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Yeah, but he ends up getting electrocuted by Jason when he goes to the Weston Hills and everything. But yeah, I mean, I do like when all the characters after that massacre happens, they go there and he just kind of comes out of nowhere and he tells them drops exposition about Jason Voorhees and everything.
Yeah, that dude's all smoking weed.
He's like trying to put it away. It's like,
hey, dude.
It's like, don't worry about that. It's like we got bigger problems here.
It's like, no, we got murders going on.
There's our stoner character, our Jay and Silent Bob sounding dude. And he has honestly one of the best scenes out of the entire movie. The scene with the caterpillar. Like he's completely.
Oh yeah.
It's like, I guess this is what happens when Freddy tries to infiltrate the dreams of a stoner, because
Is that a fucking hookah? Are they smoking weed through a hookah?
I think it is.
Because it's weed, I'm assuming, because of the way he reacts to it.
Well, yeah. Haven't you ever smoked weed out of a hookah?
I have, actually, but you have to like mix it in with the shisha. I didn't know that was like something that like a lot of people did.
Either that or put it on top of the shisha.
Dude, he did the same thing in part 3, and then Johnny Depp showed up through the TV. You remember that?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
When he took that stoner too, and then he goes, "This is your brand on drugs, right?" Look.
That's right. He did.
Dude, that movie's badass. I love the soundtrack to that movie.
That's a great soundtrack. It really is. But yeah, man, my man. And then when he's taken over by Freddy. Like, I mean, he turns into a total badass. He fucking goes to trank Jason, and then he gets cut in half. So, which is a good gore effect in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's not half bad practical gore effects here, you know. But also, I mean, who else are we missing from the cast of this movie? Is there anyone else that we've missed? I don't think so.
No, I mean, nobody's super important. There's the cops, there's Laurie's dad, there's nobody who's like a big deal. There's the first two guys that die, the Catherine Isabel's boyfriend and then his friend, but yeah, nobody who's important other than Catherine Isabel's boyfriend has a really good death getting folded backwards in the bed.
Yeah, we may as well go ahead and talk about some of the kills here, because I mean, you can't talk about Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th without talking about the kills here. And of course we have that awesome kill in the bedroom with Jason whenever he shows up. And I gotta say that's an awesome little horror set piece there. I mean, stabbing him several times in the bed and then just folding the bed on him. It's like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
That is actually a really funny effect, actually.
Yeah, no, that was a really good kill. That's probably the kill of the movie, just because it's such a really neat effect. We've seen Jason fold people up on themselves before, but I like that he just takes both ends of the bed and he just whoop.
Exactly. Just whoop, and then that is that for him. Like I really like the kill in the kills in the cornfield massacre. That I feel is like one of the penultimate Jason moments in this movie. I feel other than the bed scene.
He's just slashing all those kids. Dude.
Yeah. I mean, first things first. He yeets that one rapist dude. It's like, yeah, good call on that, Jason. It's like, screw that guy. And then he kills Catherine Isabel, and then he's lit on fire by those two idiots.
Yeah, with the Everclear,
with the Everclear, which I have to say is actually a pretty smart thing to do, honestly. It's like, if you're going to utilize something as a weapon, might as well utilize Everclear as a weapon, you know? I mean, it is that flammable. So, I mean, and also that sets up that badass scene where Jason's just on fire and he's lighting the cornfield on fire and everything, and then he makes it to he throws his machete at the big guy, and then that's a pretty cool scene right there where it goes through his chest and he's just like, oh fuck, and he falls down.
And the dude's on fire the entire time, just
until he fucking hits a beer keg with the machete and it just douses him. That scene is great, man. I mean, he's just going around just slicing motherfuckers left and right.
Yeah.
You know? And that's really where the climax kind of coalesces from there, you know, because then we kind of get the final group, and that eventually gets whittled down whenever they go to Weston Hills and everything, and then they go to Crystal Lake and all that. So, I mean, in many ways, that's kind of the catalyzing events for the end of the movie.
I love that in this movie, Springwood, Ohio is just a short drive away from Camp Crystal Lake, New Jersey.
Yeah. Yeah, how
Like, I'm
how
here to
does
tell you,
this
I live
work?
in Pennsylvania. It takes a solid 6 hours just to get from Pittsburgh to Philly. And in this movie, they drive
Jesus.
across the entirety of Pennsylvania, going from who knows where in Ohio to who knows where in New Jersey. And it's just like, oh, that just took a few hours. That's fine.
Yeah, they totally kind of leave that out. Yeah, that's very strange. I don't know. I mean, the geography of this is all over the place. Now imagine if Halloween was happening in this continuity, and then you have Haddonfield in Illinois.
I mean, that would be cool to see. As I do recall, there's some comic book crossover that also does Evil Dead.
There is.
Yeah.
It's a direct
There
sequel to this called Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Hell,
It opens up with Will and Laurie getting killed. Like, in the first couple of pages of the first issue, they die.
in true like slasher sequel fashion. I love it.
Well, shit, in true Friday the 13th fashion. I mean, that's what happened between the first movie and the second movie.
But I mean, honestly, for a man named Ashley, just putting it out there.
They initially the plans were to make a movie. They were going to make a second movie, Freddy versus Jason versus Ash, but the rights fell through and they just couldn't get it off the ground, so they ended up just making it a comic book instead, which I've read, and it would have made a good movie. The plot made sense, but the writer of the comic book he could not write Freddy or Ash. Like, they were trying to be funny, but they weren't. So the comic's not that good at all. But I think if you took the plot and turned it into a movie with Bruce Campbell and Robert Englund and whoever you got to play Jason in that one, it would have been a really good movie. It's all about Freddy trying to get the Necronomicon to become all powerful.
Oh, wow. But, I mean, we talked about earlier how long it took just to get this fucking movie off the ground. I mean, it would have been a Herculean effort to fucking get Freddy versus Jason versus Ash going. I've heard some people say of even adding Pinhead to the fold somewhere around there. May have been in one of the scripts of this movie. They were going to throw Hellraiser in randomly. I don't really recall, but I mean, I don't know. I think Freddy versus Pinhead would be a pretty interesting matchup, mainly because they both kind of inhabit their own little realms and everything, you know? They're both supernatural entities and whatnot.
Yeah, that seems a lot more fair of a fight than Jason, who has to get Freddy into the real world, or otherwise we saw what happens to Jason in the dream world in this movie.
Could you imagine if Freddy is drawn into the Lament configuration and goes into Hellraiser's sadomasochistic pleasure dome or whatever?
Oh, no.
It's like, what would he come out after that? Yeah, I mean, that's something to think about. One of the fights between Freddy versus Jason, let's talk about the first real one that goes down. That's in Freddy's dream world. And that's where we get the infamous pinball scene, which I'm sure that's the one silly scene you were mentioning earlier.
Yeah,
about Freddy.
1,000,000%. That's what I was talking about, where he gets a little too cartoonish in this movie.
Yeah, you get pinball machines like dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, and then it's just like tilts. I won't lie, I kind of
took me out.
Yeah, I kind of rolled my eyes out at
definitely.
that. Like, even back then. Yeah, but it still is a pretty brutal fight, but it also leads to one of the other big contentions about the script for this movie. Is near the end, Jason is starting to get the upper hand on Freddy a little bit in this scene, and then a bunch of water starts pouring. And then Freddy just stops. And apparently he's afraid of water all of a sudden, when motherfucker was, like, inhabits a lake. 9 times out of 10, he's in the middle of the fucking lake.
Yeah,
How is he scared? If anything, he's scared of drowning, not scared of water.
Dude, he was in the lake from 1958 to 1980.
Yeah.
Why are you scared?
That's a good point.
Well, you figure there's big time jumps after part 6 too. So, like, from part 6 to part 7, he spends 10 years in the lake.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, that's something that a lot of people really pointed out. And honestly,
what it looked like was childhood trauma coming back. Though,
yeah,
right?
it did. And, that's fair enough. I mean, Jason is all about that childhood trauma. He's pretty much like what happens if trauma becomes fully manifest.
And what was it, Manhattan? Remember he went back to a little boy again?
Yeah, exactly. He went back to just a little scared little boy.
Just all childhood trauma, really.
Exactly. But, I mean, that aside, I mean, that's an enjoyable fight. But then we get to the actual final fight between Freddy and Jason when Freddy is brought into the real world by Laurie after she's tranked for about 15 minutes. And then they take him to Crystal Lake and they have their final fight there. And, man, what a badass fight that is. I mean, we actually see... I mean, for one, we actually see Freddy show some real fear here, like even a real oh shit moment from him when he finally realizes, like, oh, wait a minute, fire is like, oh shit. And then sees Jason coming, he's like, oh shit. It's like that's a pretty cool reaction right there. But to be fair, I mean, Freddy puts up a really hell of a fight, even in the real world.
He does. I mean, shooting the fucking torpedo things.
That's brilliant. That's fucking brilliant.
I guess they're
honestly.
just like propane tanks or something.
Yeah. They're probably air tanks or something, right?
Yeah, air tanks.
Air
tanks.
Yeah, there's a whole propane field right there, right?
Those
look like acetylene bottles, though, right?
Yeah, can I ask why the fuck that's at Crystal Lake?
It looked like they were renovating it. It looked like they were doing a big renovation thing on Camp Crystal Lake. So I just kind of buy it as like, oh, okay, this is all the equipment they need to remake the lake and make it modern for people or anything.
But even so, that's some pretty heavy industrial equipment there, It's like, I mean, isn't there like a big old hanging kettle or something like that? Isn't that what they used to like... Isn't that what they use in like a steel forging mill or something like that?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's another weird thing right there where I'm just like, well, where did that come from? But it does still lead to a badass set piece for their fight, though. I mean, we even have the moment where Freddy drops a bunch of rebar on Jason and spears him. So, I mean, that was like really, really fun to me, you know? But then we get to the final moments of the battle, and that's where they start getting really fucked up. That's where they're out on the lake, they're on the dock, they're fighting each other. Jason rips off his arm and everything. And best thing ever is Freddy getting stabbed by his own blade arm. Like his own arm with his blades. I think that's one of the more perfect deaths for Freddy.
It honestly is.
Yeah, Freddy's wielding the machete, and he's coming after Laurie, and then Jason is wielding the claw glove, although he's wielding Freddy's entire arm. So I like how they exchange weapons in the fight with each other.
Yeah. It's a cool little exchange there.
Yeah. I didn't even realize it until you said it, but you're right. Like, specifically at that moment.
And there's even that one moment where they're kind of really, really getting tired. Like, Freddy, like, he tears off the arm, and then Jason, Jason tears off Freddy's arm, and then Freddy takes the machete and just slowly puts it in Jason's chest, just slowly. It's Shakespearean, yeah, damn near Shakespearean. But I mean, it just shows that they finally gave their all. Like, I mean, and that's just Freddy finally running out of juice a little bit. He doesn't have the dream powers to help him here. So, I mean, he's just like to within an inch of his life here already. And then we get the final moment where Laurie just says, "Welcome to my world, bitch," and then just chops his head.
That is honestly maybe one of my favorite like final girl moments ever.
It really is.
I love that.
Really,
that was actually really, really good.
It was really good, yeah. And then you have the ending where Jason walks out of the lake and then has Freddy's head, and Freddy looks at the camera and winks.
Which is the perfect way to end that, because it's like you still, like, technically Jason won, but Freddy's still alive. So, it's like at the very end of the day, like, they're still kind of like sparking that debate, fueling it a little bit more. It's like, well, or did he? I love it.
I mean, yeah, definitely Jason won. I mean, I like to say that Freddy kind of won the battle, but Jason won the war. Maybe
Freddy will be back.
Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe Jason won the battle, but Freddy won the war in the end.
I would say, yeah.
More, though, right?
I think because Freddy does the wink, I think, Jason won, but he didn't actually ultimately defeat Freddy. So you would say Jason won for the movie, but he still wasn't able to put Freddy down. So yeah, you're left at, who could actually beat who if one of them had to go to the death.
Exactly. I mean, it's not like Freddy couldn't be put back together. We already know that that's possible. Yes.
A dog pissing on him.
Right? That's all it takes.
Well, and it's not clear like how much of his dream powers still exist in the real world, right? Does he lose all of his dream powers just because he's been brought to the real world?
I think it's pretty clear that he loses a majority of them because, I mean, otherwise he'd be using them to manipulate Jason.
Right, but I guess the question that remains at the end is that he still has at least a form of immortality.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, at the very least.
Right. So it's I would be interested to see like what would happen next. I guess like in the comic book sequel at least.
Yeah. Maybe we can speculate a little bit. It's like, I mean, what do you think, Robert? I mean, do you think that this is a war that's just going to continue between them, or is this a definitive end for this fight?
Oh man, I love that ending. They left it open for a part 2, or what I mean. I think they could do it over. They are meant to do it like Batman and Robin, and just keep going.
Yeah.
Or like Batman and the Joker.
Batman and the Joker. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
They're meant to do it forever.
Exactly.
How great would it be if instead of remaking Nightmare on Elm Street or remaking Friday the 13th, if they just remade this and just cut straight to screw rebooting the franchises for now, let's just do another Freddy versus Jason movie or throw in other characters, give us the horror movie Expendables that we always wanted or that we thought this movie was going to lead us off to. Because unfortunately, no matter what you want to say, this is the definitive ending because we never got anything from it. And then the rights to the Friday the 13th franchise went into purgatory, and they've been in legal battles over that ever since. And, Robert Englund's not getting any younger. If he's going to play Freddy again, it's going to have to be in the immediate future. And even then, it's going to require a lot of stuntman work.
Exactly. Yeah, no kidding.
He doesn't want to do the role anymore.
He doesn't, and that's fair enough. I mean,
Kevin Bacon was talking about doing the role.
I think Kevin Bacon would be a great Freddy Krueger, honestly.
Wouldn't be bad. I mean, the guy from the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah, coming back to play Freddy, that would actually be pretty cool.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, but who would you get to play Jason, though? Is Kurtzinger still kind of
Sort of.
young?
Even that guy from the reboot of Friday the 13th in 2009.
Yeah.
The Jared Padalecki one.
Jared Padalecki.
Yeah,
one,
The Padalecki.
Padalecki. Yeah.
The guy who played Jason in that one's name is Derek Mears, and I don't know how old he is now because, even the reboot was 14 years ago at this point. Jesus.
Yeah.
But he was a physically imposing Jason. You could bring him back.
Oh, certainly. But I guess we can go ahead and start getting into our final thoughts about this movie. I think we pretty much covered as much as we can cover here. We'll go ahead and start with you, Stu. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this. This was, for me, as a lifelong horror fan, whenever this came out in 2003, it was Avengers Infinity War years before there was an Avengers Infinity War in MCU. This was the bringing together of characters that I didn't think I'd ever finally get to see on screen together. And I was so excited, and I genuinely think it's as good of a movie of Freddy versus Jason as you can get. I think the plot makes sense. They put some actual thought into why Freddy and Jason would fight each other. I like the story and how they built it. And I think if you accept that this is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie with Jason in it. And that's fine, because
Absolutely.
New Line Cinema had more invested in Freddy than they did in Jason. They only had the rights to Jason for 2 movies, and Freddy was their cash cow. So I have no problem that they essentially made a Nightmare on Elm Street movie with Jason, but it's wildly entertaining. I think it's true to all the characters. And I don't know, I just think it's a really solid movie. I've enjoyed watching it several times in my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And honestly, you're right. With all the different scripts that they were proposing, it's like, yeah, this is about as good as this would get. It's about as good as this would get. Yeah. Ash, we'll go ahead and go with you. What's your final thoughts?
Oh, I mean, it's a blast, yeah. And again, this was my first time watching it. Actually, I literally watched it today, and finished it moments before recording. And yeah, man, it's a hell of a time. It's everything I'd expect out of a confrontation like this, about as well as I'd expect it to go. Obviously, Jason is like I mentioned earlier, a little bit off, but I think every bit of what makes the character intimidating and cool and a good villain is here. At least in terms of the writing and the kills. Freddy, obviously, like Robert Englund, can't complain about an original true performance. And I mean, I even liked the cast of characters more than I'd say I might like in a slasher movie. I think Laurie is a great final girl. Obviously, that ending scene was really fucking cool. And the kills were a lot of fun. The movie didn't take itself too seriously, but we got to see these characters at full power face off. And I again, while I didn't watch it when it came out, I remember it being a big deal when it came out. Like all the hype. I mean, and just thinking about like this is like the first time I've heard about like a blockbuster movie doing something on this scale as a crossover. That's pretty fucking cool.
Absolutely. Robert, go ahead.
Yeah, this movie's great. I mean, because you hadn't seen Robert Englund since like the Freddy's, or what was it?
New Nightmare?
New Nightmare, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say the 1991 version, but yeah, New Nightmare. And, I think he'll always be Freddy. I wouldn't even try to remake another movie without him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I just don't like how they did that reboot either, dude. But now this one, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you get the best of both worlds and, and how they entwine with each other. And it's freaking, it's almost like a better final chapter almost. I don't know. I've always loved the final chapter too, just with the Friday the 13th.
Absolutely. Oh
but
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like they were leading this one on for another one that we should all need to have the chance to see one day. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. I actually do like Stu's suggestion of rebooting this movie, just doing a remake of this movie. I mean, that's actually really cool. As for me, I mean, there's an argument to be made that this movie pretty much kind of brought in the modern crossover versus movie. Like, a little further down the line, you get like Batman versus Superman, and I think that there were some other face-offs that were there. I don't really recall them, but it's like, yeah, you could kind of say that this was a catalyst for that. And I mean,
Godzilla versus Kong,
Alien versus Predator.
Alien versus Predator.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
elephant in the room, right?
Yeah, Alien versus Predator, of course, which I think predates this movie. I think it came out before this one. I don't recall, but I mean, yeah, it was pretty much a catalyst for that. And honestly, for its time, it was about as hyped as Batman versus Superman was in all these other movies. So this is the movie where that hype train just kind of starts. And honestly, I get it. I love this movie, man. I mean, the hype, it lives up to the hype even all these years later. I mean, there's not a whole lot of things that have aged well here. I mean, some of the CGI is a little wonky. I mean, as much as I love the whole Stoner Freddy scene with the caterpillar, that caterpillar does look pretty rough.
Yeah.
It looks very rough.
I like how his makeup and his costume is a lot darker,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like Jason's costume.
Or
Yeah.
Freddy's costume, sorry.
Freddy's costume is a lot
even
darker.
Even the razors, man, they're freaking longer, right? Aren't they?
It feels like it. It feels like they are a little bit longer.
I like that one scene
Yeah.
we get of like Devil Freddy too. I don't know what the impetus for that was, but it's a really neat design for Freddy.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Right
that was
where-
really cool.
Right where he's on the dock and everything's all red.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's a cool scene.
I mean, shit, those knives are about almost as long as Captain Kuro from One Piece.
Exactly, dude. They almost are. But I mean, you get the best version of Freddy here, and like Stu said, this is definitely a Nightmare on Elm Street movie with Jason in it. But, I mean, you get kind of an version of Jason, in my opinion. I mean, Kurtzinger was all right, but, I mean, he's obviously no Kane Hodder. I feel like if we would have had a Kane Hodder, Robert Englund matchup, that would have made this movie almost transcendental, practically.
Do you remember when Jason goes to hell, like right at the end where he pulls the mask down?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. It was alluded to in that movie.
So what if he pulled it down into his world, right, or something? Right
exactly. There? Yeah, he probably did. But, I mean, I do like the cast of characters in this movie. I do like them. I mean, Catherine Isabel is cool. Jason Ritter is all right. Monica Keene is good. And Kelly Rowland, bless her heart, she did her best. But all in all, even all these years later, I mean, this is still such a watchable movie. I mean, there's very little fat to trim from it in the very end. It's just... I wish we could have got Kane Hodder as Jason and maybe some of the CGI. That's probably about the best it was going to be for its time, but, you know, it didn't age well. But other than that, I do highly recommend finding this movie, whether it's on like a 4-pack movie deal or if you find it just at your local movie shop. I mean, or stream it. I mean, definitely check this movie out and like dive into some of the reviews of this movie. I mean, this movie... It's still very well reviewed today, even. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people that give this like a really bad rating, like especially on the YouTube critic circuit and everything. Like, I mean, it's a pretty well loved movie, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's just the best of both worlds, and it's a fun horror movie all the way through and through. So yeah, definitely watch this movie, especially around Halloween. But yeah, the next movie that we're going to do on our next episode, we're going to be doing Trick or Treat, which has become one of the premier Halloween movies of all time.
Yeah, Trick or Treat is fantastic.
You know? It really is. It's a great vibe. It's a total vibe, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I mean, Robert, I understand you have the DVD, so...
Yes, I do. We're going to have to watch it sometime.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, look for that and everything. And, Stu, what do you have coming up on your show, and where can our listeners find you?
So the podcast, which you can find on pretty much any podcast player out there, is Stu World Order, where we review random comic book movies with our guests. And I have the website, SWOproductions.com, where we have new articles every single weekday. And I have actually a series that I do every single Friday the 13th. I do a big horror article, so I've got one of those coming up this Friday the 13th here in October. And for Halloween Day itself, I have my all-time ranking of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, ironically. So be able to check both of those out on Friday the 13th this month and on Halloween Day.
Nice. Hell yeah. And Ash, what's coming up with Collateral Gaming?
Well, we do have our season premiere part 1 out on Spider-Man. Both part 1 and part 2 should have been out in September, but we'll be wrapping that up very quickly so we can move on to our spooky content for October. So we'll be doing part 2 of the season premiere on Spider-Man Miles Morales. That's all setting up for the new game that's coming out at the end of this month. But before we do that, of course, we are going to be doing Dino Crisis and Resident Evil 3 as our October episodes. And then our Halloween special is going to be Silent Hill 4. So in November, then, we will be covering the aforementioned Spider-Man 2, where part 1 will be a spoiler-free review, and part 2 will go into full spoilers. So really excited about that. And then, of course, in December is our Zelda month. So we're going to be covering Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons as a 2-part episode. And then our holiday special is going to be on the Grinch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The Grinch video game from the 90s? Or
I think this would have been a tie-in with the movie.
Oh, so it would have been in
like
the 2000s. Okay, yeah. It would have been early 2000s.
Yeah, I think the console version. My co-host Zach suggested it. So that's what's going on with Collateral Gaming through the end of the year. Of course, there will be a few like new games coming out that we'll cover game launch, and when both Collateral Cinema and Collateral Gaming, I know we want to do like a year in review kind of thing and cover the movies and games that we would have liked to have covered, but didn't get a chance to. So that'll be cool.
Hell yeah. And Robert, we should have Texas Sundown coming out very soon, right?
Yep. Just probably a few more weeks, right?
Yeah. Excellent.
Do some more sound editing, right?
Excellent. Hell yeah.
Yeah, actually, I've been helping you work on that. I'm kind of working with the title stuff. I don't know. Maybe I brought my computer. Maybe I can show you guys what I've got so far.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it as well.
What I'm fucking with. Maybe like show you a couple scenes where I wonder like maybe we might like cut this differently or whatnot. Just see.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Right on.
But while we're here together, but yeah, Texas Sundown. I mean, it's just a joint effort with all of us. So I'm excited about seeing Robert's short film come out.
Definitely. And with Collateral Cinema, we'll have our Halloween episode on Halloween 4, Return of Michael Myers, and on our Director's Cut Halloween special, we're going to be talking about Nail Gun Massacre. So look for those. And you can find Collateral Cinema and Collateral Gaming on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter X. What the fuck it is? I don't know. You can also find us on. We do have a Patreon. Go there and check out our film commentaries, and also we have a Buy Me a Coffee and a Podbean patron. So go there and throw us $5 and help us grow our podcasting community and whatnot. And also check us out on Good Pods. You can rate and review us there, and help us climb the ranks of their podcast ranking and everything. So yeah, follow us there and listen to us there. I guess we don't have anything else to add. Nope.
I think we're all good, right?
We're all good? All right. Well, then, Season 7 of Collateral Cinema is now underway. Check you later, everybody. And, fuck Trump, I guess. I don't know. Laters. Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by the respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.